So what's good, homies? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, modern women often say that the reason their relationships fail is that they're not compatible. Well, here's the problem with compatibility. It's only an excuse they make when there's a man in their life that they're not attracted to. Now, you've never heard a woman say about a man she wanted to be with that they're incompatible. A man she was intimately attracted to, physically attracted to, that they were incompatible. It's always the man who wants her that she doesn't want in return. It's always the man who chases her that she's continually fleeing from. The truth of the matter is that women don't care about compatibility as long as they get validation from having the presence of a man who they deem secretly out of their league. Now, somebody sent me a video on IG where this chick seems to be an older chick who has finally figured it out, which, they all do that. But what she's saying makes a whole lot of sense. And now she's at the point where she doesn't have to worry about running any man away. And when they get to that point, they're willing to spill the beans on how women truly are. So what she's saying is that women are not dissing you or disassociating from you because of any incompatibility except for physical attractiveness. But let's take a look at this video, man, and we'll come back and chop it up on a real tip.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Compatibility ain't got nothing to do with it. The truth is, women put good men in their friend zone because that man ain't fine enough. That's it. Because the truth is, let them be fine enough. We don't care about compatibility. We'll figure out how to make it work. That's the truth. See, other women got to want our man. That gives him worth. That gives him value. This is why women will get with men that ain't got no money, ain't got nothing. He has absolutely nothing. Because other women want him. I can build him. I can be there for him. I can support him. So we'll take a man with no job. Man ain't got no doggone job. We'll take him now. Come on over. Come on over here. Ain't got nothing to do because he fine. And we take good men and we put them in our friend zone because we wouldn't dare be seen with him. He doesn't validate us. But how he treat us, that's the truth for a lot of women.
Their mindsets are fickle. They want whatever that thing is that makes them feel better when they're out in public. The game has changed so much that women nowadays are seeking out men to be eye candy. Because there's men out here who have great jobs or great careers. They're able to be great providers, great protectors, but they simply don't look like who the woman thinks they should look like. And the crazy part of that is women don't even look like who you think they look like. Now, what you hear in this video is a woman who is simply breaking down the idea that women have that it is okay to forego men all of their lives when they're in their primes, when they're at their most desired, most sought after state. They shun the men who really want them for men who really only want to play with them. Because at that point, women are okay with playing as long as there is some small promise, some small inkling of a possibility of being more than just intimate partners. The reality of the scenario is that when a man only wants a woman for intimacy, she knows it. But when she's young, she always feels like she has time. She always feels like the reason that she's not going to be with that man over there who she knows is going to be a better option for her long term is because this short term thing isn't going to last that long. She can do this and then go over there and do that as well. The problem with that is it doesn't work out that way. Funny how time flies when we're having fun. You're living your life, having fun with those guys who only want to play with you. Guess what? You wake up and you realize you're 29, 30 years old. And the strangest thing happens. Those guys who really wanted to be with you don't want to be with you anymore. Because those guys, just like any other man, wanted you in your prime. Now you're out of that prime. Not only that, but you dissed that man. That man has seen you run around here and create this reputation for yourself that makes you unworthy of being his wife. So yes, he still wants a wife, but he wants a wife that's like you used to be. He doesn't want a wife that's like you now. And that's the thing that women don't understand. This is the thing that you can't reconcile your brain to accept. You only have a small window of time to be a prize to a man who wants something long term. Yes, we see situations all the time where a woman who has gone out there and done whatever she wants to do, she ends up with a man, but it is not with a prime man. It is rare that a man who has all of his I's dotted and all of his T's crossed ends up with a woman who has gone out there and run around and ended up with a couple of baby daddies or whatever. It is rare. That woman is going to have a man who is less than the man she could have had. Because here's the thing. If you're 22 and you're with a man who's on the come up, on the rise, on his mission, trying to get to where he's going to go, that's cool. If you're 32 and you're with a man who's on his mission, just starting to grind, just starting to figure out what he want to do, it's not the same. You only got 8 years before you're 40. What if it takes that man 6 years to get to where he's going? Because if you're 22, it could take you until you're 28 or 30 to get to where you're going. What if it takes him 8 years? Guess what? He's finally there, but now you're 40. Guess what happens? You're 40 now. He's finally getting there. He realizes that he doesn't want a 40-year-old woman. So you women have got to understand that a man is not obligated to stay with you just because you were there with him when he had nothing. The only thing you can hope for is that you're still in your prime when you're with that man. If you're outside of your prime and you're with a man and he becomes successful, that man is not going to stay with you. The same way that you wouldn't stay with that man who wanted you in the beginning, who was on his come up when you were in your prime. The best time is when you're in your prime if you're a woman. The best time is when you're in your prime as a man. The problem is a woman's prime is when she's young. A man's prime normally comes when he's older. Because even though you may get some money as a young man, you don't have the mentality to manage the money, maintain the money, and do what you need to do with the money to make sure that you're okay 10, 15, 20 years down the line. But you women are going to understand one thing. As men, we don't have to settle for you deciding that you want to be with us whenever you decide. We don't have to say, well, she didn't want me when she was young and she was available and she was desirable and she was eligible. I don't have to settle for you now that you've thrown all that away to go out here and run around in the streets. It is not because of incompatibility that you don't want to get with that man over there. It is because you think because you're young, you want to go out there and have fun. You want to be over there with those men who may have a little bit of money now, but they don't want anything to do with you beyond having some fun. All this time, from the time you're 21 to the time you're 30, that's your window. If you don't get it done during that window, you're not going to be desired by the most prime men among us. It's just not going to happen. Not for anything serious. And yeah, when you're in your 20s, your early 20s, mid 20s, you don't want nothing serious. Why? Because you got all the time in the world until you realize you don't have all the time in the world. So I want you to take heed to what this sister's saying. Also, take heed to what I'm saying. Because we're not necessarily saying the same things. Why would we? She told you something from a woman's perspective, and I'm telling you something from a man's perspective. You ain't got all your life to become a wife. So if you want to be one, you better go ahead and grab a hold of a good man as soon as you see one. Or else, you know where you're going to be? Calling in the Kevin Samuel show. Getting hit with a hard dose of reality that you should have did what Dr. BOA is telling you to do right now. Young women, take heed on this date. Older women, don't worry about it because it's too late. You only have a short time to be in your prime. And when you're outside of it, oh yeah, things are going to change. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you men have to say. I look forward to hearing what you men and women have to say. I'm out.
Alpha sub, beta's down, it's the motto. Sims